Oh no, look, there's a meteor coming towards Earth. That's not a meteor. That's bad mixing and mastering. Oh god. Well, how can we stop it? Bloom Audio. Affordable mixing and mastering. You mean we're gonna save money too? Yeah. Get 20% off with the code down in the description.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of I Swear to God, if Ozone 10 comes out next week, I'm done doing this forever. I'm your host, Weaver Beats, and today we'll be going over Ozone 9. We won't be reviewing it, but I'm going to be doing the full mastering Bible. Trying to teach you how to master with it and all the little features in Ozone 9. So let's get started. I'll be teaching you guys how to use it with the mastering assistant and without it. If you guys want to check out my review on Ozone 9, you can check that out up here. Alright, so first let's talk about what is mastering. In order to do a good job mastering, we have to know what it is first. So mastering is a term usually reserved for taking the audio mix down of a song and preparing it for the final release. And that can include a few different things you have to do. You want to make the song sound unified, you want it to sound loud, and you also want it to sound consistent with the other songs in the album, or any other song in the same genre. Alright, so let's jump into how to master with the assistant tool. Alright, so I'm the new guy. I'm taking over. Weaver called that sick. We're going to put Ozone on the master. Ozone 9 on the master. Alright, next we're going to want to make sure our track is hitting between -3 to -6 decibels. It's at -3.3, which is close enough, but I'll turn it down a little bit anyways. So I'm just going to take it, move it down to like -2 decibels from where it was. I'm going to open up Ozone 9, and then I'm going to run the master assistant. You can see what loudness you're going for here, or you can pick a reference track. We're going to put it to high, and we're going to set it to CD. So if you're mastering for a CD or for SoundCloud, you're going to want it a little bit louder than you would for Spotify, Apple Music, or other distribution platforms. They all have their own target loudness. Alright, so we're going to go for it as loud as possible because that's usually one of the hard parts. So we'll do that first and then we'll go from there. We can check what the vintage one sounds like also though, just to see. But for now we'll just do the modern. Then we're going to click next. And then we got to play the loop portion of our song up here. Alright, now that's done, let's look at the changes it made. Alright, so it looks like it did some EQ to cut the lows as well as raise the highs a bit. It did some dynamic EQ like it usually does. And it mastered it to about -14 LUFS. So you're going to want your meter to be set to integrated. In order to check that, click I and O right here. And then make sure it's on integrated. That way we're all in the same measurements here. Let's listen to it.
Tell me about it. I be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they all pass. Let's get ready to go. They left an opening and they don't even know.
So that's not bad. I still think we need to make it louder though. So let's turn on the reference track here, and we're going to turn on the reference tab, and then we're going to add in a reference track. You want something from possibly the same genre, but you want it roughly the same loudness that you're going for. Maybe this Freddie Gibbs song here would work for us.
But I didn't, so I'm tangled in this position. Made a commitment to both of these women and never considering both of their feelings. I got too deep, so after I
Alright, let's compare it to ours. We're going to turn off the reference track now. So it sounds about roughly the same loudness. I would say my track needs a little more harmonics or something, or EQ. Sounds like it's missing something though.
But I didn't, so I'm tangled in this position. Made a commitment to both of these women and never considering both of their feelings.
So let's see if we can add that. We could add it all in the same device here. So let's do that. We're going to add an exciter here by clicking on the plus button at the top. And then we're going to put it further back in the chain. We want our maximizer always at the end of the chain. So with the exciter on, let's turn on the amount a bit. We're just going to leave it at 1 band for now. That way it's simple and we can hear what it's doing. So we're going to turn up the amount, and then we're going to play with the mix knob. Because we don't want it to be all harmonics, but we want it to have a mixture of harmonics, hopefully strong harmonics that make it sound richer.
Tell me about it. I be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while
I'll try to change the type. I don't know if I like triode.
Tell me about it. I be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they all pass. Let's get ready to go. They left an opening and they don't even know.
I kind of like 2.
What's a minute worth of you in currency? Certainly not enough to do some evil shit. Well, maybe if it makes me rich, it's probably worth it.
I don't know, warm sounds really good to me too. I think I kind of like warm. Let's compare it how it sounds with this now versus the Freddie Gibbs track.
Tell me about it.
So I'm tangled in this position. Made a commitment to both of these
Motherfuckers, why I'm
It sounds much similar now.
but I didn't. So I'm tangled in
in my watch.
Okay, so now we're gonna stop using the reference track for a bit, and we're gonna just try dial in this harmonic here.
Tell me about it. I'll be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they all pass. Let's get ready to go. They left an opening.
Okay, let's compare that now.
Tell me about it.
so I'm tangled in this
My watch. Watch these
I like it, I like it. And if we want, we can try to divide up the bands too. We can try to do that real fast. I'll add another band. So we double click here. And then honestly, I think we should set the settings the same to start with. And then we'll move from there. That's how I usually go about it. So the main reason I wanted to multi-band it here, I feel like with multi-band compression, multi-band harmonics, just multi-band anything, it serves its function better if you know what you're going for. If you just start playing with it, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like a goddamn revolver. You're firing around the room. I think I want something about the lows didn't shine like it was before. So maybe I might want to turn up the lows a bit, or I might want to turn it down a bit or something, but something about that needs to be fixed. So I'm gonna play with the lows. So I'm gonna try to separate it where I think it sounded funny. So I'm gonna solo this. Maybe somewhere around there. I'm gonna put the mix knobs all back to 0, and I'm gonna try to turn it all up slowly. So let's do 0.3 for both.
Tell me about it. I'll be checking my watch.
Let's try 1.1.
Motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they
Oh, that's about it. Wait, a little lower.
Let's get ready to go. They left an opening and they don't even know. What's a minute worth of
That's like 0.9 or 0.8.
Not enough to do some evil shit. Well, maybe if it
I don't know. Maybe I didn't need the multi-band. Well, anyways, I think right about there sounds good for me. Maybe even turn down these amounts a little bit. We can attach the bands again right here if we want. All right, there we go. That's kind of what I was going for there. Let's compare it to the Freddie Gibbs track again.
but I didn't. So I'm tangled in this position. Made a commitment to both of these women and never consider
hitting the Dutch and they
I still think we can make mine a little bit louder. So we're going to go to the maximizer here. Then we're going to turn down the threshold a little bit. This should make it a little bit more compressed, therefore a little more loud.
tell me about it. I'll be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they all pass. Let's get
Okay, let's compare that to the Freddie Gibbs track now.
but I didn't. So I'm tangled
checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers
considering both of they
Dutch and they all pass. Let's get ready to go. They left an opening and they don't even know. What's a
Okay, so that's pretty good there. It's not completely perfect though. Still, it's a good start though. From there, we could try tweak some more things. I feel like it's getting a little bit over compressed a little bit, and we're losing some of the punch compared to the Freddie Gibbs song. Okay, I'm gonna put an EQ before this, but Ozone's EQ. So that's what we're doing today. I'm gonna try to cut some lows. We're gonna make the gain on this cut here pretty drastic. Could also make it a shelf or a high pass. Let's try like a brick wall one. A brick wall one would be good. Or let's try a slope of like 48.
tell me about it. I'll be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they all pass. Let's get ready to go. They left an
Try
opening
24.
and they don't even know. What's a minute
They're
worth
not,
of currency? Certainly not enough to do some evil shit. Well, maybe if it makes me rich, it's probably.
Okay, so I can do 12. We'll do 12 decibels.
Tell me about it. I'll be checking my
That's pretty good.
Watch these motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they all
Okay, that should clear up some of the frequencies that were going in there, triggering the compression. We can switch the maximizer from the modern mode to the transient mode. This could work better for our transients. Let's check it out.
tell me about it. I'll be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers.
Mess with the settings a bit. See where it sounds good for you in your song.
Tell me about it. I'll be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch.
Pretty good. Okay, let's compare it to the reference track now.
but I didn't. So I'm tangled in this position. Made a commitment to both of these women and never considering both of they feel
The Dutch and they all pass.
I would say our track's actually punchier now. Okay, let's look into the dynamic EQ first. Let's try to listen to it without it and with it.
Tell me about it. I'll be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they all pass. Let's
Okay, now with it.
Tell me about it. I be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they all pass. Let's get ready to go.
So usually the goal with EQ is to help you keep your tracks from getting overcompressed by having the frequencies duck down when they get too abundant. Usually in mastering at least. So I don't know. I think we could just take this and we could just dial back the settings a bit. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. So we're gonna turn it on. So as you can see, there's a gain, frequency, Q, threshold, and they all have that. And they're all set at different settings. We could try to dial these all back a bit though. I don't know, let's take the gain for instance. Let's take all the gains and move them back from -4 to -2. Or we're just gonna move it back by a ratio of 2. So 50% of what it was before. All these are -4 and this one at the end is -2. I know this because it does these similar settings often. Okay, so this one's, we're gonna make -1. And let's see how that sounds.
Tell me about it. I be checking my watch. Watch these
I don't know.
motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they all
Let's go back to how it sounded before.
Tell me about it. I be checking my watch. Watch these
I kind of like it better with the settings they had originally. So I think I'm gonna leave that. It gives it more of a modern sound. So yeah, that's just how you would change this. You can change the threshold here if you want as well. So we could try to change the threshold a bit. Let's do that. We're gonna move it back by a factor of 2. Maybe that's too much, but we'll try it out. So it's at -28 right now, so we're gonna make this one -14. And this one is -32, so we're gonna make it -16. I'm not gonna do this completely perfect.
2 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke some.
Tell me about it. I be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they all pass. Let's get ready to go. They left an opening and they don't even know. What's a
Let's
minute?
compare it to how it sounded before. I'm actually not really sure at the moment. It's very subtle.
Tell me about it. I be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they all pass.
I don't know. It sounds beefier with the threshold down further. So I think I'm just gonna leave it like that. But that's how you do that if you want to mess with that. So next up, I'm gonna try use the imager. I'm gonna see if that'll help us at all. So with the imager, you're gonna want it somewhere. It's hard to say where you'd want this one, but definitely before the maximizer, obviously. I'd probably put it about here. Here or here. Probably one of those two places. But with it, we can split it up and make it sound wider. It kind of depends on the genre and how mixed it is beforehand, whether or not you want to do this, but we can see if we can make it sound better. So let's try it out. So right now there's just one band. Let's listen to it.
Tell me about it. I be checking my watch.
Let's try and make it wider and see what happens.
Tell me about it. I be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they all pass. Let's get ready to go. They left an opening and they don't even know.
Actually kind of helps a bit. I feel like this sounds a lot better than the old imager. Alright, so let's leave the bass alone. We're going to make some bands here. Maybe for now we'll just do 2. Let's just do 2 bands for now. And then we'll get crazy after, okay? We're going to solo this. We're going to solo this one band and we're going to try to find just the bass and kick.
Tell me about it. I be checking my
A little bit of my voice in there, but can't be helped, I guess, unless I mix this a little bit better. Well, I mixed it good. Maybe my voice is too low to cut out those areas. Anyways, so we're gonna unsolo that.
think about the time I wasted in the
And we're just gonna widen up this other area. So let's try that.
Tell me about it. I be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while I'm
So we can make it real wide if we wanted to like that, which sounds kind of cool, but it seems a little drastic. And I don't know, honestly, if we want to do that, it'd be better to do it in the mix down. So let's try something a little more subtle.
Tell me about it. I be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they all pass. Let's get ready to go.
Okay, and then there's also a stereoize mode, which is, I'd say this one's better for mixing. It's too drastic for mastering, the stereoize feature that is. So let's try that out.
Tell me about it. I be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they all pass. Let's get ready to go. They left an opening.
It's super wide, but it creates like a delay between the two sides, and it's, don't do that for mastering. Okay, so we're gonna turn that off, and then from there, let's just do it without it.
Tell me about it. I be checking my watch.
And
Watch
with
these
it.
motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch and they all pass. Let's get ready to go.
I I kind of like it with it on. We could add more bands if we want and spread it more if we want, but honestly, I think this is good enough for me at the moment. We didn't use the low end focus tool yet, so let's try that out. Let's solo adjust the kick and the bass here. We're gonna do that by clicking on the S here. Okay, so we got that soloed, and we're gonna want to decide if we want the punchy or the smooth option here. I have a video on this too if you want to check it out. I'll link that up here. If you want like a more detailed discussion about this, I'm just gonna go through this one real quick. So we're gonna turn up the gain on it, and we're gonna mess with the contrast tool, and we're gonna mess with these two settings here and see where it sounds best for our track.
Or the chance I take, it's worth the hassle, right? Sometimes I think about the time I wasted in the past, all the time that could go in a solitary flash. Then I wish the future was something that I could grasp and grab on, get to my destiny fast. That's all. Tell me, I'll be checking.
Okay, I think I like the smooth one with about these settings. So I think this tool is something best served used minimally.
Tell me about it. I'll be checking my watch. Watch these motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch, and they all.
Next up, we got the master rebalance tool. My program is starting to have some issues here. All right, I'm gonna have to close some of these modules because my computer is lagging too much. I don't think we really need the low end focus tool that much. It doesn't really help us too much. We're gonna put that near the beginning. And then I want to bring up the bass, I think.
Tell me about
We're gonna
it.
try to do that.
I'll be
We're just
checking
like
my
bass,
watch.
press
These
gain.
motherfuckers while I'm hitting the Dutch, and they all pass. Let's get ready to go. They left an opening and they don't even know.
It lags my computer, at least when I have this many things on and I'm recording and whatnot. So that's the best we can do with that audio at the moment, so sorry about that, guys. All right, let's try the spectral shaper. I don't think we have any use for this at the moment, but if there's some problematic frequencies in your mix, you can select an area and you can shape it a bit. So we don't need the spectral shaper, but that's what it does. From there, there's just the vintage compressor, the vintage EQ, the vintage limiter, vintage tape. Basically all those function like the regular versions of those, except for the tape one, because that one doesn't exist. They just have like a more analog sound to them. So if that's what you're going for, like I might be kind of going for that with this song. So I might try to do a more vintage master after and see how that sounds.
Alright, so now I'm going to delete everything that was in that project except for the maximizer. And I'm going to use the remaining tools to try to make it a good master still. Okay, so we're going to use the vintage compressor. We're going to put that before the maximizer. And let's set everything to default. So like threshold is 0, ratio is 0. And we're just going to start moving things.
Real, yeah, but never at the right time. I got more work than words to say. Shit that seems more pertinent. With my time deserving it. Trying to stop me, damn man, I'm curving it. Go around your asshole, I need to work a bit. 50 minutes pass in the trap.
It'd be really nice if there was like a mix knob or something on this. Too bad there isn't. But right about there sounds good to me.
How much time passed?
Put on the vintage EQ.
Hourglass. How much time?
As you can see, it's much more vintage looking.
Looking at the hourglass. Man, I got time to kill. I mean shit for real, yeah, but never at the right time. I got more work than words to say. Shit that seems more pertinent. With my time deserving it. Trying to stop me, damn man, I'm curving it. Go around your asshole, I need to.
So as you can see, there's all these frequency knobs here as well as faders to control the gain. I'm gonna boost every harmonic area a little bit.
Man, I got time to kill. I mean shit for real, yeah, but never at the right time. I got more work than words to say. Shit that seems more pertinent. With my time deserving it. Trying to stop me, damn man, I'm curving it. Go around your asshole, I need to work a bit. 50 minutes pass and the traffic's hurting me. Shit is getting drastic, man, the first degree. Sweating out here faster, back here nervously. Getting snaked by a taxi, damn smash the beat. How can I afford a crash? Ain't got no cash on me. That's actually why
I think 8K is good.
I need to stash the cheese. I need to make some more, yup. Make it faster, please. That's why I can't waste my time at the hourglass. I need to make the most of my time for the hour pass. Cause I gotta sleep. How much time passed? How much time passed?
So a vintage EQ is a great tool that you might want to use even if you're not looking for a super vintage sound. It just sounds very nice and colorful in my opinion. Let's listen to it without it and with it. So without it.
But never at the right time. I got more work than words to say. Shit that seems
And
more
with it.
pertinent. With my time deserving it. Trying to stop me, damn man.
Adds a little bit.
Curving it. go around your asshole. I need to work.
So basically, we're going to want to push the input a little bit and add some harmonics. So let's listen to it.
Much time passed. Looking at much time passed. Looking at the hourglass. How much time passed? How much?
I would leave the bias to default unless you're trying to change the tone.
Hourglass. Man, I got time to kill. I mean shit for real. Yeah, but never at the right time. I got more work than words to say. Shit that seems more pertinent. With my time deserving it.
I'd say right about there is pretty good. It's a very subtle sound. Alright, so that is all the tools. The only thing I didn't go over is the dynamics. And essentially it's just a compressor. You add bands by pressing on the plus knob. There's a dry wet knob with this one, which is great. Some other settings you might need to know about. I am not sure how I forgot this, but the multiband compressor also has a limiter in it. So it's also a multiband limiter. You can change the threshold for it over here. And the ratio for it over here. There's a bypass button here, gain match. This is great for comparing your unmastered track to your mastered track. There's input here, the output here. Don't touch the output. You can flip the left and right channels. You probably shouldn't do that if you're mastering for other people. They probably won't like that. And this one you use to sum the left and right channel to mono. If you want to check your master in mono, which you should want to do. Then you can check it with a different codec here with dithering. Dithering, I recommend finding your own video on dithering because that's a whole nother massive video. Can't be worrying about dithering in this one. So yeah, that should be everything. Make sure to check out Bloom Audio if you haven't. It's a great mixing and mastering service. I know this because I am them. They are me. Make sure to tune in next time when I surf on my mastering board. Woo! Woohoo! Shout out to my patrons. You guys are awesome. You're now listening to Future Collective. The link to check them out is down in the description.